Brent Hubbs, I'm Austin Price, the Volquest 2-minute drill on this Wednesday. Just a few days until the orange and white game. Get to listen to Kelsey Pope and Darrell Sims and a couple of different Vols. What stood out to me is Kelsey Pope and his desire to see some of those young guys take a step.
Well, we'll see what that step is. I mean, and I think the challenge is, how do you coach those guys? How do you coach young guys and get them ready? Are you feeding them everything? Are you, sort of spoon feeding it along? How do you go about who can handle what from a mental capacity? I thought his answer was pretty strong about, hey, you've got to coach everybody different because everybody learns different. And when you're going to play young players, first and second year players, you got to figure out how to coach those guys and get them right and get them ready to play, because there is no wait time for Travis Smith. There is no wait time for Radarius Jackson. They're going to have to play. You only got 7 in your room.
And because you have such youth in your room, he talked about kind of resetting the standard, like, reteaching the standard, because, some of those young guys weren't necessarily here when all that happened before.
Well, and I think some of those young guys that are coming back are guys who need to understand the standard better. I think Chris Brazel has to understand the standard better every play. He made it very clear he likes some things Mike Matthews is doing, but he's still looking for more consistency every day out of Mike Matthews. So I think you're having to kind of get everybody to understand that standard while getting them ready to play. He's got an interesting challenge in that room, I think, between now and August and that opener against Syracuse.
No established stars in the receiver room. But you could argue there's no established stars in the running back room. A lot of good players that Tennessee likes. Deshaun Bishop's had a fantastic spring. Peyton Lewis had a really good, scrimmage the other night. Star Thomas has come in from Duke. DeJuan Morris has flashed this spring, but needs to get healthy. Like, that running back room has maybe some parallels to the receiver room. Agree or disagree?
I think the running back room you feel more comfortable with because Deshaun Bishop has done it. Now, he's got to stay healthy. He's performed more in critical situations than Chris Brazel has or Mike Matthews has. I think Peyton Lewis, you saw in the playoff game was over, but you saw him be able to handle that room and handle that role there. Star Thomas is a guy who's got a long resume. I mean, he's what a lot of fans want you to go get at the receiver room, right? A proven commodity who's been successful at Duke and at a couple of different places. So I think you're a little more comfortable there because you've got a little bit more experience with that, and a couple of guys who are more comfortable in this offense. I think the thing for Sims is he going to play 2? Is he going to play 3? Is he going to really try to play 4? Like, what's the number look like at the running back position? Because you don't need as many backs as you need receivers.
Last year, it was different than when Jerry Mack was here. Does it look more like what it did when Mack was here because there's no clear-cut guy that you had a year ago? Or how do they go with that running back position?
Well, I think a year ago you were almost forced to go that way. One, because Dylan Sampson's really good. But remember, Bishop was still learning and figuring it out. And Peyton Lewis didn't do anything in the spring and the summer. So he was really brand new. So you really only had an established back and then a learning back behind him, behind Sampson to start the year. It made it easier to go with, hey, let's ride that hot hand. The question now is, how do you manage when you have multiple people who you think could step in and help right away?
Club Hubber is hopping on this Wednesday. The orange and white game, if you can call it a game, coming up Saturday, 2 o'clock over at Neyland Stadium. He's Brent Hubbs. I'm Austin Price.